This is Your Anxiety Toolkit, episode number 79. Welcome to Your Anxiety Toolkit. I'm your host, Kimberly Quinlan. This podcast is fueled by three main goals. The first goal is to provide you with some extra tools to help you manage your anxiety. Second goal, to inspire you. Anxiety doesn't get to decide how you live your life. And number three, and I leave the best for last, is to provide you with one big, fat virtual hug. Because experiencing anxiety ain't easy. If that sounds good to you, let's go. Well, welcome back. I'm so thrilled to have you with me here today. Today is a very special episode prepping us for the holiday period, and I am so thrilled to share with you really some tips and tools to help get you through the holiday period. This is a time I notice in my practice where things get heightened, things get triggered. We're all heightened in our experience. We're all stressed. We have a lot going on, whether that's because of the nature of having lots of events or lots of obligations, or that you're really just not feeling it. You're not feeling the joy. You're not feeling the holiday celebration. And all of those are okay. And all of those experiences are very, very normal. Because again, this is it's almost like a little bit of an obstacle course as we get through the holidays. It's sort of like, let's see how you do with this situation. Let's see how you do with this situation. I think it is, if you think of it like an obstacle course and something that's supposed to be difficult, that's supposed to bring up stuff for us, we can go in with a better ability and experience of coping. We feel like we're mastering it a little better, and we feel less out of control and less crazy, right? Because the holidays can make us feel crazy. You're not alone at all here. Today, to help me address this amazing topic is a good colleague of mine, Alison Sepanara, and she is really a pro at this stuff. She's written blog posts on it. She's done different lectures on it. And I really felt like she would be a perfect person to talk with you guys around this topic and give us a really quick run through of some ideas to help you cope. And I just cannot wait to share it with you. But before I do, I first want to share with you our new segment of the podcast, which is called I Did a Hard Thing. And this segment, as I mentioned last week, is all about sharing with you guys and inspiring you guys with stories of people doing hard things. And I actually have a couple for you today because they're just so freaking good. I am getting these directly from the CBT School campus, the Facebook group. I'm going to post at least once a week where people can post their wins. And already within posting less than an hour ago, I've got a whole ton of people who have shared their really, really great stories. So this one is from Emily. And she said, I'm in a rough patch of anxiety and OCD and having thoughts about never being able to get the hang of acceptance and always feel like this. My hard thing that I'm recognizing as exposure is simply going to the next part of my day ready for the discomfort, trying my best to welcome it on and not tense up so much. Amazing, Emily. That is such a great example of willingness and mindfulness and, just some badassery in my opinion. So yay, good for you, Emily. And I'm going to share one more just because these are so great for right here. So Sarah has posted, I was able to calmly tell my mom when I thought we had some food that wasn't safe to eat. As a potential botulism, definitely not something to test. I kept from obsessively researching it online after we decided to bin it, and kept going with my evening despite the temptation to spend the whole night worrying that my whole family would die from a, quote, exposure to toxins in the air. So this is great work, you guys. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's finding the thing that you're afraid of. It doesn't matter if no one else is afraid of it. It's finding the specific thing you're afraid of and staring that thing in the face, doing the hard thing, facing your fears, living your life despite your fears. That's what this is all about. So yay for you guys, Emily and Sarah. That is amazing. Such a good example. There are a whole ton more here. I wish I could just go through them. And what I might do in the future is record all of them and just have them as a podcast of hope. So I'll see if I can put that together at some point. But in the meantime, let's go over to the topic of today, which is thriving and surviving the holidays. Now, I want to just say a couple of quick points before we go into this. The main thing I want you guys to walk away with here is the acknowledgement that the holidays are hard. Yes, they are. Media and Hallmark and Target.com and the TV and all the advertisements and all the music is around spreading joy and how beautiful and sentimental and bonding this holiday can be, but it isn't like that for everybody. And I can probably bet all of us are going to run into some stuff over the holiday periods, whether it be family, friends, finances, anxiety, mental illness, loneliness, grief. These are all topics we touch on in the interview, but I really want you guys to know and be ready and accept and not judge yourself if you're struggling with some of those issues, right? It's really hard. You know, I said the same thing at Thanksgiving on social media. I made a point to make sure everyone understood that it's okay if you don't feel grateful on Thanksgiving. It's okay if you don't feel joyful on the holidays. It's okay if you're scared on New Year's Eve about the year coming up. It's okay if you're, feeling great loss over something. I really want for you to give yourself permission and make space for those feelings and experiences as they come up, right? Because again, the media, they do tend to make us feel like there's something wrong with us if our life and our home and our gifts don't look like a advertisement. And so I just want to jump in and sort of start the episode with that main point. Number 2, I shouldn't say that. What I should say is I don't want to start with a negative. I want you guys to make space and open up some space for your own mental struggles or disorder during the holidays, right? I know I've said this before, but I encourage you to invite your mental disorder or your mental illness, whatever your struggles, to Christmas. Write it an invitation. You call all your family and you tell them, hey, you're invited to Christmas. You're invited to Hanukkah. You're invited to my New Year's Eve party. So please do invite depression or anxiety or OCD or your body-focused repetitive behavior. Please make a point to invite it and be ready for it. Open your door and give it a big hug when it arrives, even though you mightn't like it, and acknowledge that it will be there at these celebrations. And our job isn't to fight with it. Now, Alison does a really great job of sharing with us how to handle actual, real people who are difficult during the holidays. And so that's going to be in the interview. But I really want you guys to also use that alongside the work with your mental disorder. Make space for the fact that, depression might come to your Christmas party and, OCD might come to your New Year's Eve party, and warmly welcome it instead of wrestling with it and fighting with it and having a good old argument with it in front of everybody. Right? Because we all know fighting with people on the holidays usually doesn't get them to change their mind, and it's probably not going to change our mental struggles minds either. Okay? So I'm not going to go on too much about that, but what I will say is I really am sending out much, much love to you. And I really am I want you to close your eyes and receive the warmth that I'm sending you, because the holidays are hard. And I want you to know that you're not alone, and that those warm messages and vibrations and love is being sent to you on this holiday period, because again, this is like an obstacle course and you're going to need some love and some warmth to get through it. So I hope you do receive that intentionally, and just know that I am sending it to you on a very regular basis. Okay, so here's the interview. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay, well, welcome. Today I have Alison Sepanara, who is a licensed professional counselor in the state of Pennsylvania. And today we are talking about thriving and surviving the holiday period, which I think is such a cool and interesting topic. So welcome, Alison.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, so as I've experienced in my office, we're talking about similar things with my clients, but what is coming up a lot is just the added pressure and stress and triggers that go with the holidays. So I thought it was a really great time to bring you on, and you can just share with us like some of the things that we need to be aware of and how we might manage it a little better. So what do you like to share?
Sure, yes. So this is something that comes up quite often for some of my clients this time of year because there's a lot of pressures that come up with the holidays. And a lot of times with the pressure comes stress and comes anxiety. And so if anyone can probably look around and see, Hallmark movies and people saying all these expectations of being jolly and all of these things going on. But what people don't recognize is that there are really underlying things that can be going on with some people during this time of year. The biggest things that I see in my practice is people that are struggling with grief and loss. So if someone has lost somebody, especially within the year, so maybe this is like the first holiday for them without this person, it can be a really sad time for them. Traditions that they used to experience with that person can feel a little bit uncomfortable and really sad, and they can feel really lonely. So, someone who's experienced maybe a loss this time of year can be very triggering. So it's something that you want to pay attention to if you are going somewhere and you recognize that someone might have lost somebody.
Right. You know what happens for me, it's not even that I've lost somebody and that I just miss the fact that I'm not with my family because my family's in Australia. So I'm just missing the fact that I'm missing out. Right. So it could even be, some people do Thanksgiving with one family and then, Christmas or Hanukkah with another family. What tools might you have them practice when they're longing for someone who's passed or just a family that they're not with?
Yeah. So a lot of times what I suggest is trying to find some creative ways to connect with their family if they are distant. Thank God for technology these days, right? Because now we have the opportunity that if maybe, for example, one of my clients had family in California and she was able to FaceTime and be online with them actually all of Christmas Eve. They just put her in the background and they would, basically make believe that she was there. Right. So try and find different creative ways that you can be with them through those moments. And also, I would say that if there's a way that you can find, if you are living somewhere, find either community or, if you don't have your own family in the sense of a husband or children, what friends or what people are around you in your community that you can connect with. I know that if you're religious, local churches, they have different types of dinners for Hanukkah or Christmas, and they're very open, and just finding other people to be around and make maybe your own tradition, if you can't be there. There's so many other opportunities to just be around others during this time. I definitely would be careful if you start feeling like you're isolating yourself, because that's when we can start feeling really sad and really kind of more depressed. So try and really be around other people, find a community, maybe even look up some places to volunteer. There's always places around, I know in the Philadelphia area where I am, always places that you can volunteer to help out. And, helping out usually makes you feel better about yourself too. So it's kind of like two birds, one stone kind of thing. So yeah, I would say like start there.
Right. What other things might people come across over the Christmas period or the holiday period?
Yeah, there's some things that happen too around the holidays, which most people will probably identify with, which is finances. So, a lot of times you're not planning on what you're going to spend in February for Christmas or for Hanukkah. You're not thinking about that. You're probably thinking about paying your taxes. What money you need to do with that. But it can be very expensive, Christmas and Hanukkah and other holidays. It can creep up on you. And that is honestly, anybody can notice this, that finances cause stress and finances cause anxiety. Even if you are okay with the money you have, figuring out what you need to use, what you need to pay, the bills, all these things. So some of the things, especially with families that have kids, it might be a good idea to try and start to save a little bit in the beginning of the year as much as you can remember, maybe like every month. So that's just another bill. So, every month, what do you pay? Some people pay their mortgage and they pay their bill, their electric or something like that. Like make that another bill that you can put away. And then the end of the year comes and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot I had my holiday savings.
Right.
And then it's good that way, because maybe in January comes, you can set a limit to how much you want to spend. And so every month you take a little bit out, and it works. And it has worked for people that I've suggested that to. So, maybe not this year, but maybe you can start that next year.
Right. What do you say to the expectations around gifts and all of that? It's so hard because, I have a friend who's like crazy awesome at even gift wrapping. And so it's like, oh, now I feel like her gift has to be perfectly wrapped. And not only do I have to find the right gift, but the wrapping. So how do we manage, so much of that is related to money because we feel like we have to spend more or equal to what other people are spending. What would you say in terms of those high expectations wrapped around the holidays?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because all of us kind of always have that one person, right, that is giving us like the most expensive thing, or, everything. Yeah, it's wrapped perfectly and has like a beautiful bow that they probably made or something. Like,
Right.
But the fact is, what really matters, and not at just this time of year, but at any time of year, is being able to give your time and give back to people that you love and you want to be around. So, what's the saying? As they say, it's the thought that counts kind of thing. So even if someone doesn't give you, or, Uncle Joe makes you his, a glove, that's a gloves, but they're horribly made, and he tries to give you gloves that he made. And it's not really about the actual product or the gift. It's more about the thought. So something that I would suggest is, if money is sort of an issue, there are so many ways you can be creative and not have to spend a lot of money, because a lot of people actually love homemade gifts. It really is the thought that goes into it.
Right.
So, for example, I love to knit, and you can find yarn at Michael's for seriously so cheap right now. They're having sales like every day. And I made a couple scarves for my family members, and they're really easy. I'm not a good knitter. I only know one stitch, but it was not expensive and it didn't take me that much time. And so, you can be creative that way. So I would say, with the expectations, try and remind yourself that, make them realistic. Understand that even Aunt Sally gives you, the best gift ever. Say thank you. That's great, but you don't have to do that in return.
Right. And I really believe in the gift of words. I feel like if you were to just share with the person how much they mean to you, there is no gift that can beat that, and that is free. Like, I love the cards from my husband more than the gift, because it's one of the times like that he'll I'm not, don't mean to say it's the only time of the year. He's wonderful, but this is like a time where we sit down and we really look over the year and spend time reflecting and sharing. I love the gift of words. I think it's one of the best gifts you can get.
100%, 100%. And I think, if you enjoy really spending time with the family that you're with and other family members, we'll get into, what to do if you don't really enjoy spending time with them later. But if you really enjoy that time, then something that I've done in the past would be, I'll buy like something on Groupon, even, which Groupon has cheap stuff that are either going to, a massage together or something that's together. And then you can actually give the gift at Christmas and say, oh yeah. And, I print it out and I put it in a card for my mom or something. And, I got me and her, a wine tasting somewhere. And it was in March, but I gave it to her in December. I said, I got this, and me and you were going to do this together.
Lovely.
And so it's something that we're going to do together, but it wasn't even that expensive. And it was just time, so words and time. I totally believe in that too.
Right. So I love that. Tell us about if you don't like your family. Because I think there's a majority of people are like, I have a whole nother problem.
Oh my gosh, for sure. And that is a lot where a lot of anxiety comes up, because there's a lot of family members that can trigger us, right? And sometimes we have to like mentally prepare ourselves starting now to get through Christmas Eve, weeks before, trying to figure out, how are we going to get out of Anna's, Barb's, how are we going to, what can we say to leave if we need to leave, all the stuff. So this time of year, families can feel really compelled to come together and be peaceful and in harmony. There can be a lot of pressure to just feel this joy and say to themselves, oh, family, yes, but that is not always how it is. So whether you like it or not, there might be some people that this is the tradition, right? So you have to go to this one family member's house, or, maybe you go to two places and you try and go to your parents 1 hour and then the next time, whatever. So there's a lot of pressure there. And I think what you need to do is, I think it's not a bad idea to start if you feel like you have members that of your family that are a trigger for you. I don't think it's a bad idea to start kind of preparing yourself a little bit beforehand if you have to be in that environment, by kind of using your self-talk and letting yourself know that you can set boundaries with that person. Which means if you need to distance yourself and maybe have a couple conversations, that's fine. Hopefully there's maybe more than a couple people in the room. You're able to distance yourself and be kind of surfacey with that person. But if you're not, and you have, Uncle Eddie from Christmas Vacation, coming in, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. It's called Christmas Vacation. And there's
I've heard of it. Yes.
Yeah, they have an uncle in the movie called Uncle Eddie. And, he's just loud. He comes in, he's like, just does what he wants in the house.
Everyone has an Uncle Eddie.
Everyone has an Uncle Eddie. He has an opinion about everything, kind of judgmental. Everybody has an Uncle Eddie. So you want to try and really pick your battles. So we talk a little bit about like power struggles when we're feeling like we're in a position where we're feeling highly anxious, or someone's judging us or saying really opinionated things. And, picking your battles essentially means you want to try and say to yourself, okay, is it going to be worth it to get in this type of argument right now with this person? Is it really going to help me? Is it really going to help change who this person is? Should I even engage with Uncle Eddie? Probably not, because that'll probably just put fuel on the fire, because that's what he wants. So I think that's why boundaries are really good. Trying to really, just pick your battles with that person if they do trigger you, and maybe know what some of your coping strategies are. So I know when, I'm around my Uncle Eddie, quote unquote, it's not really him, but when I'm around him, I have to remind myself to do some of those mindfulness tools that I have. I really focus on my breathing. I step away. Actually, I go to the bathroom sometimes and I just stay in the bathroom for a couple minutes. And I really just stay in the quiet and I meditate for a little bit, even if it's for a minute or two. And I kind of ground myself. So, just some of the tools, if there's things that that helps you when you are feeling anxious in different environments, you want to kind of incorporate that into those moments too.
Right. and not personalize it, right? Like I think we personalize so much in thinking that their action is about us. But I like to think of it like a movie. You talk about like the Christmas vacation is I just observe what other people are doing. Like, oh, it's interesting that Uncle Eddie's trying to bait me right now. That's interesting. Oh, it's interesting that Aunt Margie is bringing up the president, or, everyone's got a different political view, or it's interesting. I'm noticing, such and such is criticizing the other person for that, and just being a noticer and an observer instead of getting all up and engaged.
I love that. Yes, being an observer. I love that. I think that's great because most likely, if you're seeing this person at this time of year, hopefully you're not having to engage with them at other times. So this might be, the one time where you really do have to be in this room with them. And so I think that would really be helpful in that environment for sure.
Right.
And one other thing I wanted to mention is, I put something on my Instagram today about being a people pleaser and how sometimes it's really hard for people to say no to things. And if there's one thing that you can do for yourself, if you really, really just feel like this is going to be another level for you on the anxious scale, right? Or even the anger scale or something, then it is totally okay to say no and to find a tradition that's for you, to maybe even say, if you feel like pressured a little bit, going and then setting your boundary and saying that you're only going to stay for an hour or something. It's totally okay to say no. And as we get older, we have our own families, right? A lot of times. And even if we have our own families, the parents are still pressuring us to go different places. But it's important to remind yourself that it is okay to say no.
So true. So true. I love it. Thank you so much. I feel like that was it's a great pep talk as we go into the season, right?
I hope so. Yes,
Yeah.
because it really should be the time where everybody can feel like they are actually enjoying themselves and feeling a little less lonely.
I agree. So, Alison, tell us where everyone can hear more about you.
Well, I'm on Instagram at Therapy with Allie, and I'm on Facebook, and that's just my name, Alison Sepanara. And then you can find, if you have any questions for me, I have a website. It's AlisonSepanara.com. They can send me an email. They can find awesome resources for mindfulness tools and holistic tools there as well.
Thank you. I'm so excited. And we'll have to do an Instagram Live or a video or something together in the new year. I think that would be great to do a recap.
Yes. Love that. New year, new you. I would love that.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, thank you, Alison.
Cool. Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure.
Please note that this podcast or any other resources from cbtschool.com should not replace professional mental health care. If you feel you would benefit, please reach out to a provider in your area. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for supporting cbtschool.com.